Hey guys, it's your girl Vibe with Veggies, and today we have a huge feast. We have spaghetti and vegan meatballs from Gardein, as well as just some marinara sauce from Trader Joe's. Then, of course, we have our greens. I have some broccoli over here. Let's see how this is. I love the Gardein meatless meatballs. They're so good. Let's take the first bite. Okay, well, I hope that worked. My first meal of the day. I'm quite hungry. There's a lot of steam coming from this, but it's not that hot. I honestly think it's just because it's colder in my room and it's snowing outside. I have not had spaghetti and meatballs in a very long time. I'm not a big pasta person. I like ramen. Very good. I really like making zucchini noodles or zoodles. I find that those are just healthier. It makes no difference to me. Today I'm going to talk about my relationship with Judaism. A lot of you know that I'm Jewish and Chinese, and I feel like it's kind of interesting having someone have two totally vibrant cultures mashed together. But I'm going to focus today on the Judaism aspect. I went to private Jewish schools my whole entire life, except for when I went to Binghamton University. That's what the meatball looks like. And I loved it. I always enjoyed going to Jewish schools. All my schools were super small. I think the biggest I had was like 100 kids in the whole entire school, up until university. That was hot. I really liked the fact that it was so small. I don't know why, but it was just, I guess, all I knew. So I liked small schools, so I stuck with it. Some more religious than others. The high school that I went to for 3 years was Orthodox Jewish, but the rest were pretty pluralistic or conservative or whatever you want to call it. My water. And it was an interesting contrast inside of my life because my family, which is not religious whatsoever, my mom is Jewish, my brothers are Jewish, but my father was not Jewish. So coming from like a very spiritually Jewish background or family or household, but not practicing Jewish, and going to a full-on Orthodox high school was an interesting contrast, but I liked it. You know, all my friends pretty much kept Shabbat, kept Kashrut, kept all the major laws that Orthodox Jews typically take on. You know, whenever I went to their house for sleepovers over for Shabbat, I would 100% stick to whatever the laws that they kept. But when I went back home, I didn't really keep. The only ones we really kept were fasting on Yom Kippur, eating kosher for Passover. I should show this. And I never had like much of an issue with that. I was like always okay with it. I never felt conflicted. But I've always been super interested in keeping Shabbat and Kashrut. And I went through it with my family a little bit because, you know, all my friends were doing it. And I was like, oh, I kind of want to, you know, do it as well. And I was really interested in Judaism. I think it's a beautiful religion. Any of the issues that arise with Judaism are like people's interpretations of the religion, but the religion itself is really beautiful. That comes with everything. So when I went to high school, a really religious high school, I always felt like part of me did not fully belong because I didn't really keep all the laws. But at the same time, I felt very involved as well just because, you know, I mean, that was where I spent majority of my life. I went to Israel my first year of university. I studied abroad for 1 whole year in Israel. And when I did that, on the plane ride there, I decided, okay, I am going to keep kosher. I'm going to keep Shabbat. I'm going to use the language as much as possible because I was fairly fluent at the time in Hebrew. My elementary school is pretty much taught mostly in Hebrew, which was awesome. When I studied abroad in Israel, the program was a fairly understanding, accepts all, practicing Jews. There were rules that were really pushed towards living an Orthodox Jewish life. And I liked, but I will say though that like it got to the point where looking back at it now, it was kind of not extreme, but it was directed and they wanted you to practice a certain way. And if you got sucked into it, then they were happy. And again, this is not the religion, this is interpretations of people. So I would have rabbis that I admired like crazy, that I really looked up to. They loved me because I was someone who, it's called a Baal Tshuva. It's when you go from not practicing to being a practicing Jew. They loved me because I was that. I was this person who came from a not religious background. Half family is not Jewish, blah, blah, blah. I'm Chinese. And I started practicing. And one of my rabbis, his views in Judaism were very strict. In the case that he's very clear that if you don't believe in one thing that the Torah says, then you've made up your own religion. Which is not exactly what I'm used to. But at the time, it made so much sense. If one of the laws in Judaism is God is right, God is just, then why would anything he say be wrong? Or anything he established be wrong? I am excited for this bite. So it made a lot of sense to me at the time. I was going through a lot of changes. My mind was going all over the place, and it was really good. Like, I went from being super not religious to being super, super religious, and then towards the end, not religious at all. And that's just because, like, change is okay. I'm allowed to change what I believe. The more information I collect, I can now base my opinions off of that. So I was taking in a lot of information just from one side, so it all sounded so real, sounded so right, sounded like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. And I was okay with that. Like, that's what I really truly wanted deep inside. But there were some things in Judaism that I just felt like, how can I ever agree with? One of them being, and this is a controversy that goes on, and I believe that doesn't make Judaism bad, but what about when it says a man can't sleep with another man? So like, gay marriage is not okay. Gay relations is not okay. That was one that I was like, wow, are you really expecting me one day to accept that and like think that that's okay? And I just felt like I couldn't. So, and I actually felt bad because I was like, I can't give my all because I don't think I can ever accept that. So I always felt a little like suspicious in a way of some of the things that he said ever since he said that. I even confronted that rabbi about it, and he said, well, you don't have to believe in it now, but eventually your goal is to work towards believing in that. And that just didn't settle well with me. I was already starting to build this suspicious view of my rabbi where I was just like, maybe not everything you say is right. Trust me, he had some really good things to say. He taught me a lot about how to maintain a relationship, how to live a happy life, how to keep peace in your house, how to, like, he taught me some really valuable things, but that thing just really did not settle well with me whatsoever. I don't know, I couldn't. Long story short, I think he's a fine rabbi. I think he's a great man. But I witnessed him handle a situation that I didn't think he handled properly whatsoever. So I still kept with Judaism, even though I had this sort of skepticism with this specific rabbi. I still was like, well, I still love Judaism. It's not an issue. Even a year after I finished my study abroad in Israel, I was still practicing. My first year at Binghamton, I was a practicing Jew. Kept Shabbat, kept Kashrut. Even my I was even still practicing into my second semester of sophomore year. I was really into it. I don't know. I just felt like the community was great. It was all wonderful. And I was very immersed in the Chabad in Binghamton because they were Orthodox Jews, and it resonated well with me. My mom, my family were all supportive of me throughout the whole entire process, but my brothers instilled this concept into my mind that it's okay to change your ideas. It's okay to change your views. Because then eventually, after sophomore year, I started not seeing the attachment, and that was because I wasn't educating myself constantly. Same with veganism. Like, if I found in the past of my over 2 years of being vegan, there are times where if I don't educate myself, if I don't keep stimulating my brain as to reminding myself of the reasons why I am vegan and why I believe the things I believe, then you start losing any connection to it, or you're losing connection, and you start losing value into your original beliefs. And that's exactly what happened with me in Judaism. I just stopped educating myself. My friend group changed. So I'm not feeling bad about any of this. I don't feel like, oh, I wish I can go back to the way I was, but it's just a change that happened in my life. Still to this day, I love being Jewish. I think that all the memories I've had about in my life relating to my Jewish culture were amazing. I really, really do. I think Israel was such an important experience for me because I have experienced like both ends of the spectrum. Like, I have seen and I have wanted the life of someone who was taking on as many responsibilities as they possibly could, as many mitzvot, they call it, good deeds, as you possibly could, with the intention of getting closer to God. All the way to the other side of the spectrum of not even believing in God, learning about evolution, residing with that theory, and then seeing no room for God. Like, I've really experienced both ends fully with like my whole heart. And I'm so happy that I've experienced it because I see every side. I understand where everyone's coming from. I would say probably the biggest thing I learned from Judaism is to have an open mind. Even though in Israel, I was really skewed away from certain rabbis. Not all rabbis. I had like 20 rabbis in Israel. I was pushed away to not have an open mind, to really, really think about absolutes, and that didn't reside well with me at the time and now. So right now my relationship with Judaism is very much like, I love being Jewish. I still go to shul, I help out my temple, and I substitute as a Hebrew teacher at my temple when they need me. I love, I love the culture, I love everything pretty much about it that I let into my life. The things that I didn't really like about it were sometimes some people just interpreted the religion differently than I did, and it just was a little too harsh for me. It just didn't resonate well with me, that's all. But other than that, I love my religion. I want to raise my kids Jewish, and I want them to experience what I've experienced. I want them to experience the whole spectrum just like I did. That's another thing that really opened my mind. Judaism, it comes in so many different forms. There are non-practicing Jews, there are some practicing Jews, there are Jews that don't even know anything about Judaism but love being Jewish, whatever. Like, it's a beautiful community. Because a lot of the lessons are just how to be a good person and how to keep healthy relationships. Some of the laws I understand as to why they're instated like that. There are literally some laws that are called choks that literally have no reason behind why that law is instated or that rule is instated. It's literally just because. I think Judaism is a beautiful culture. And personally, you reap the benefits that you want from it. But I know not all believe in that. It's just such a beautiful community. I don't know about you, but I don't know if you're Jewish or anything, or in your religion or your ethnicity. If you find someone that shares the same ethnicity or religion as you, automatically feel connected. I feel that way with Cantonese people too. My family is Cantonese on my dad's side. And whenever I find someone speaking Cantonese, I already feel like a connection with them. Even though I don't even speak Cantonese. It's just like, we're from similar backgrounds, and that feels nice. This is pretty much dry pasta. I've never cooked a whole box of spaghetti before, so I didn't really know how much marinara sauce I was going to need. I had like a whole jar in here. Not enough. This one was a long one because I kind of didn't come into this with a plan. I kind of just started talking, and I may have been all over the place, and I'm sorry about that, but with certain topics, I feel like it's really important to be as raw as possible, and Judaism is a very important thing in my life, and I have a lot of opinions about it, and I'm very passionate for it, and I'm a proud Jew, so that's why I kind of wanted to come from my heart. So if it seemed all over the place, that's why, and I'm really sorry if it didn't make sense. Thank you so much for being with me and spending this time with me. I had a good time. It's nice to think about my past, and I think it's important to talk to other people about it, because who knows, like, I might think that my experience was really novel, but some of you have experienced the same things as me. Some of you may not even know what I'm talking about, so it's a good perspective to hear. It's a new, fresh idea. If you aren't already, please subscribe to my channel. I make mukbang videos as well as educational videos. You're gonna learn a lot about me. You're gonna get to know me. And it would mean a lot to me if I can get to know you a little bit. So please comment down below anything that comes to your mind when you heard this topic, or what your relationships were with whatever religion or ethnicity that you are, or anything. I like to interact with you guys. I always like and heart and comment on your comments. So please, like, feel free, let it express yourself. That's your area to kind of, you know, get to know me and me to get to know you a little bit more. If you don't already, please look at my Instagram at @vibewithveggies, and you will see a whole bunch of food ideas, maybe some exercise videos, you know, kind of updates on how I'm feeling mentally in relationship to my mind and body and soul and all of that. So really check that out. And yeah, I hope you had a really good time. I will be coming out with another podcast soon that I recorded with one of my friends from my high school, Harry Backer. I can link it in this video. But yeah, I hope you had a great time. I hope you learned a lot, and I love you all. Have a great day. Bye.